Yeah, I'm 55 years old, so I grew up right in that, when the WWF was massive and Hulk was becoming a really big star. And I watched the WWF back then, and I was a Hulk Hogan fan.
One of my most fond memories was the first time I ever saw him in person. I was not actually in the ring. It was before I got into wrestling. I was at a WWE show in St. Louis, Missouri at the Checker Dome. And when Hulk Hogan came out, he was in the main event, the roof just blew off the place. And that's when I decided, man, I would really like to be a professional wrestler, because be at the center of all that energy and everything was just amazing to me.
Let me begin by expressing our sadness at the passing of a wonderful man and a dear friend of mine. He was a very special person. I got to know him very well.
People always wanted to paint us as enemies, but we were actually very, very close friends. And we kept it up with each other on a regular basis. So I just talked to Jimmy Hart yesterday, and he was fine. And to have this happen is just horrible.
But just 71 years old, and there's a lot of thoughts, there's a lot of feelings that are going through me right now, because this is a very, very complicated legacy. This is a very complicated figure in the world of sports entertainment.
The legend of WWE is no longer among us as the world stands in shock, grappling with the weight of the heartbreaking news. An outpouring of grief and tributes has followed, with fans and peers worldwide reacting to the saddening loss. American retired professional wrestler Mick Foley reflected on the shocking news, saying it was hard to believe because Hulk Hogan seemed larger than life and ageless. He recalled a heartfelt moment when Hogan sincerely apologized for a decades-old issue, calling it a genuine and meaningful moment that helped solidify their friendship.
I was almost shocked because he was one of those guys who was larger than life. You just assumed, and he didn't appear to age. So you never thought that the last time you saw Hulk Hogan would be the final time you saw Hulk Hogan.
And you guys obviously had your quarrels over the years. But from what I have read, I mean, you guys made up. I mean,
Yeah, it was a really nice moment. It was a show, but I believe he was 100% sincere, because he not only apologized to me for something that was said at least 25 years earlier, but he insisted on apologizing to me a second time. And I accepted it, and I considered him a friend before that. But I definitely helped bond. That was a nice bonding moment for us.
Canadian professional wrestler Chelsea Green acknowledged the loss, saying that despite his polarizing political views, Hulk Hogan was an undeniable icon. She emphasized that many in the wrestling world owe their careers to him, as he inspired an entire generation and left a lasting impact on the industry.
I mean, polarizing political views aside, he was an absolute icon. And if it weren't for Hulk Hogan, there are many of us in the wrestling industry that would absolutely not be here. He inspired a massive generation. So it's a loss that we are feeling deeply in the wrestling community.
UFC President Dana White shared his memories, saying he grew up during the peak of WWF when Hulk Hogan was rising to superstardom. He recalled being a big fan of Hogan during those formative years, like so many others who were inspired by the wrestling icon's larger-than-life presence.
Yeah, I'm 55 years old, so I grew up right in that, when the WWF was massive and Hulk was becoming a really big star. And I watched the WWF back then, and I was a Hulk Hogan fan.
Ariel Helwani expressed sorrow over the heartbreaking and somewhat shocking news, noting recent concerns about Hogan's health shared by those close to him. Reflecting on the loss, he acknowledged the emotional weight and complexity of Hulk Hogan's legacy, calling him a deeply influential yet complicated figure in sports entertainment.
Yes, very, very sad news. Somewhat shocking news. There were some reports, some from people who knew him quite well, most notably Bubba the Love Sponge recently, saying that he wasn't in the best of health. We had him on the show just a few months ago, and I've seen people post pictures from that interview this morning, commenting on the way in which he looked. But just 71 years old, And there's a lot of thoughts, there's a lot of feelings that are going through me right now because this is a very, very complicated legacy. This is a very complicated figure in the world of sports entertainment.
Former professional wrestler Ric Flair shared that, although people often saw them as rivals, he and Hulk Hogan were actually very close friends who stayed in regular contact. He said the news was heartbreaking, especially after hearing from Jimmy Hart just the day before, and added that the overwhelming support and kind words flooding social media show how much Hogan truly meant to everyone.
People always wanted to paint us as enemies, but we were actually very, very close friends. And we kept it up with each other on a regular basis. So I just talked to Jimmy Hart yesterday, and he was fine. And to have this happen is just horrible.
How did you get the news? I'm so sorry, Rick. I am so sorry.
Oh, I've gotten it from everybody. My phone won't stop. And that's a good thing because everybody is saying something nice. When social media can be so cruel, in this case, everybody is saying something nice.
Ric Flair further reflected on their unique bond in the ring, saying the chemistry he shared with Hulk Hogan was magical and unlike anything he had experienced, even comparing it to his legendary matches with Ricky Steamboat. He recalled the unmatched energy Hogan brought to the arena and shared fond memories of their time working together, including playful moments after shows that highlighted the deep respect and friendship they enjoyed behind the scenes.
We had magic. I mean, it wasn't like me and Steamboat, but we just had a chemistry that was, I felt like equal to me and Steamboat, but in a different way. And he was so over. I mean, when I went there in the 90s, I had never seen anything like it in my life. And the music started and he came down the hallway. And, I mean, I would get him down for 2 minutes and we'd have, it's just an unbelievable relationship. I mean, and I'll give you an idea of how much fun we had working together. If we were doing a dark match after TV, we would go and he'd say, room service, and throw me in and give me the boot and drop the big leg on me. We got back to the hotel for room service. I mean, that's how much fun we had working together.
Retired professional wrestler Diamond Dallas Page admitted the news came as a complete surprise, saying it took his breath away the moment he heard it. He shared how deeply personal the loss was, crediting Hulk Hogan as one of the first to support him in his wrestling journey before his career truly took off at age 40.
Then immediately it took my breath away when I first heard it, and it didn't really sink in until I was writing about how I felt about Hulk on one of my social media posts. And to me, he was one of the guys who helped lifted me up. You have to understand, I didn't start wrestling until I was 35, and my career didn't take off until I was 40. And that guy, he helped, give me that opportunity.
Hulk Hogan's longtime agent Darren Prince shared a heartfelt tribute, saying he never saw him as just Hulk Hogan, but as Terry Gene Bollea, a man who always put God first and deeply loved his fans. He described their bond as a true blessing, recalling that every phone call ended with them expressing love for one another, and that Hogan always carried himself like a champion, even in his final days.
That's what I've been telling everybody, as heartbreaking as it is, and thank you for having me. I never looked at him as Hulk Hogan. I got to know the real Terry Gene Bollea, who put God first, who absolutely loved his fans, up to recently felt he was always treated like he was still the heavyweight champion. And not one phone call ever ended with us without saying how much we love one another. And it was just one of those true blessings of an individual in my life.
Knox County Mayor and former wrestler Glenn Kane Jacobs recalled the unforgettable moment he first saw Hulk Hogan live at a WWE event in St. Louis, describing how the roof nearly blew off the arena. He said that powerful experience inspired his own wrestling journey, calling Hogan the most charismatic superstar ever, who not only defined professional wrestling, but also became a true pop culture and entertainment legend.
One of my most fond memories was the first time I ever saw him in person. I was not actually in the ring. It was before I got into wrestling. I was at a WWE show in St. Louis, Missouri at the Checkerdome. And when Hulk Hogan came out, he was in the main event. The roof just blew off the place. And that's when I decided, man, I would really like to be a professional wrestler, because be at the center of all that energy and everything was just amazing to me. Hulk Hogan was just the most charismatic superstar of all time. It transcended professional wrestling, obviously, and was a pop culture icon and an entertainment legend as well.
George St. Pierre tweeted, "They say you should never meet your idols, but meeting Hulk Hogan made me admire him even more. He was so generous with his time and an inspiration not only as an athlete and entertainer, but also as a human being. He will be missed by us all." Rap Hula Hogan. Steve Borden, also known as Sting Inside the Ring, tweeted, "Can't thank you enough. For all that you did for me and for wrestling fans all over the world, I loved you and I will miss you." My friend Terry Bleerip, Turkeyalgic, tweeted, "Condolences to my friend Hulk Hogan, who sadly passed away today at 71. Will never forget the magic of seeing him up close in person at WrestleMania 9 when I was 12. Hulk unlocked.
Oh.
Wrestling's great success, and he will never be forgotten. Well wishes to his family." Professional wrestler Matt Hardy tweeted, "Tori Balia was the first mainstream megastar in pro wrestling. He was the face of sports entertainment and elevated pro wrestling to a whole new level. I had the opportunity with Hulkster a few times over the years and enjoyed my interactions with him. My thoughts and condolences are with his family, friends, and fans, especially his children." Professional wrestler Kurt Angle tweeted, "Rip Hulkster. Thank you for opening the door for so many people in the business, including myself. There would not be a Kurt Angle without the American-made Hulk Hogan. My heart and prayers go out to his family. We lost a real icon today." Lastly, Ted Dia shared a deeply emotional tribute, saying that while the wrestling world lost an icon, he lost a very dear friend. He reflected on their early days in the business when Vince McMahon Sr. asked him to help get a young Hulk Hogan over. And years later, Hogan kept his word, telling Ted, "It's payback time, buddy," leading to main events and unforgettable moments. D-Buzz remembered Hogan not only as a superstar and a man of his word, but also as someone who found faith in Jesus Christ, closing with heartfelt words.
Today, the wrestling world lost an icon, but Ted DiBiase lost a very good friend. Hulk Hogan was the man. Way back when Vince McMahon Sr. gave the ship over to Vince McMahon Jr., his first big star was Hulk Hogan. The last match I had, the first time I went through the New York territory, was in Madison Square Garden against this new guy called Hulk Hogan. Vince McMahon Sr. came to me and said, "Ted, we got high hopes for this guy. We'd like for you to really get him over." And I did. Well, let's fast forward several years. After that match, Hulk Hogan came to me and he said, "Thank you so much, buddy." And he says, "I owe you one." So fast forward, now Hulk has become the man. I mean, it's like the first action figures and all that stuff. It was Hulk Hogan. He was the guy. He was the superstar of wrestling. And when I went back to New York, when it was now much bigger and all over the country, the first time he walked up to me in the dressing room, he shook my hand and he said, looked at me and he winked and he said, "It's payback time, buddy. It's payback time." And after that, oh my gosh, I wrestled in main events with Hulk Hogan. I tag teamed with Andre the Giant, and who knows, but not only was he a good wrestler, he was a great guy and a man of his word. And the thing that I remember most about Hulk today is this. There came a time in his life, just like in my life, where he understood that without Jesus Christ in his life, he had nothing, and he became a Christian. just like Hulkster, I had become a Christian as well. And I just would say this, Hulk, I know you're with the big man upstairs, and one day we will meet again. I love you, man, and I miss you.
However, the Clearwater Police Department confirmed that just before 1000 A.M. emergency personnel responded to a medical call at a residence on the 1000 block of El Dorado Avenue. Terry Blee, known to the world as Hulk Hogan, was found in critical condition and transported to Morton Plant Hospital, where he was pronounced dead at 1117 a.m.
Just before 10 a.m. today, Clearwater Fire and Rescue, along with the Clearwater Police Department, responded to a house in the 1000 block of El Dorado Avenue for a medical-related call. It was discovered at that time Terry Bollea, also known as Hulk Hogan, was experiencing a serious medical-related issue. Personnel provided medical treatment at that time and transported Mr. Bollea to Morton Plant Hospital, where he died at 11:17 a.m. The Clearwater Police Department is conducting a death investigation, which is standard in these types of cases. There are no signs of foul play or suspicious activity related to this call for service at this time. Our personnel is providing the family with the necessary resources. I'm strongly encouraging everyone to keep the family in their thoughts and respect their privacy during this difficult time. We will not be answering any questions, but we will provide additional information when it becomes available. Any public records request should be filed through our public records section with the Clearwater Police Department. No records will be released today. Our thoughts are with the family, and again, we ask everyone to respect their privacy during this difficult time. Thank you.
World of professional wrestling is in mourning following the death of iconic WWE legend Hulk Hogan, whose real name was Terry Bollea. The 71-year-old passed away earlier today in Clearwater, Florida, after experiencing a serious medical emergency. Emergency responders arrived at his home just before 1000 a.m. and transported him to Morton Plant Hospital, where he was pronounced dead at 1117 a.m. Hulk Hogan was more than a wrestler. He was a cultural phenomenon who transcended the sport. From the roaring crowds at Madison Square Garden to action figures, movies, and mainstream fame, Hogan symbolized an era. His charisma, unmatched energy, and signature moves inspired countless fans and shaped the careers of many within the industry. That's it for today's video. So what are your thoughts on this? What do you think about Hogan's death? We would love to hear your thoughts on this. So share your thoughts in the comments section and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video. Also check out our other videos on the screen, right?